Alright, hey everybody, so in today's video we're tying a fly called Empie's Deadly Shiner, designed by Dick Empie. You know, super popular fly, especially in New England. You might hear people talk about it, you know, whether you've been fishing for trout, landlocked salmon, whatever. You might hear people call it the Goldie, because, you know, one of the original colors is done in gold, like I got right here. But, you know, I just want to make this video because when I first went online to try and learn how to tie this fly, you know, I noticed that a lot of guys do it wrong. When I say wrong, I just mean inconsistent with the original fly design. And the reason I know the way I tie it is the right way is because I was able to go down to the Bear's Den and speak with Scott and Anthony, who knew Dick Empie, and they were able to tell me, you know, exactly how this fly was tied originally. A lot of people had extra materials, but you know, the way that I'm tying it is the original way. So you're getting it, you know, straight from the horse's mouth, or as close as you could get to it, I guess. And that's why I'm making this video. So super simple fly, pretty much a one material fly. I'll talk about the material in a second. As far as hooks go, you want to tie this fly on, I tie this fly on a Mustad R74, but you can use pretty much any 2X heavy, 4X long streamer hook. You can use a Gamakatsu S11 if you want. You know, any streamer hook that fits the bill, you'll be fine with. When I'm tying for trout, which that's what I'm doing today, pair it up with a 5/32 brass bead. And other than the material that I'm going to talk about, you just need some red Krystal flash. That's it. Now, the material that you're going to need for pretty much the entirety of this fly is called Bill's Bodi-Braid. I tie them in gold in this pearl color right here. Now, this is a locally produced material. It's made in Rhode Island. I'm not sure how available it is across the states, but I do know you can get it from Bear's Den, so if you're not close enough to go down and go to the shop yourself, you can order from them online. Quick note about this stuff, though, before you do go and order it from them, you can get it in 10-yard or 30-yard sections. Now, I recommend just spending a couple extra bucks and getting the 30-yard. That's what I have here. Because when you get the 30-yard, it comes on a spool. When you get the 10-yard, it comes on a card. And if you use any materials that come on cards, like, you know, chenilles or Antron yarn, whatever, you know that when that material wraps around the edge of the card, you create a crease, and that crease isn't coming out. So you're going to end up wasting more material. It's just more of a pain because you kind of got to gauge your, it's just a mess. Just get the 30-yard. You'll have less fly, you know, less material waste, and you will tie more flies from it anyway. So yeah, we got the hook covered. What bead? Size 8 for trout, time bigger for bass or salmon, you know, or smaller if you want. But I think that's it as far as materials go, so we'll get down to the vise. Alright, got a hook in the vise here. I'll start off with some 6/0 Veevus in red. Run that back a little ways. I'm going to tie in our flash. So what I found, especially for these size flies, if you take a full piece of Krystal flash, cut it in half, and then double it over and cut it in half again, you'll have enough for 2 flies for 1 strand. So you end up tying in 2 strands for this, 2 strands of Krystal flash. Run that down to about the barb there, just kind of right where that shank starts going into the bend. And this is going to be our reference for the length of our tail, so you want to cut it to the length of the hook. Sometimes this stuff goes crazy on you. Just kind of fold it over and get it close to the hook length there. That's about right. Alright, so now we're going to tie in our Bodi-Braid. Now, for the Bodi-Braid, for one fly you want to cut about a 2-foot piece, maybe 20 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to construct loops on the near side, the top, the far side, and bottom. And we're going to cut them at the end. So you're going to start off, you can do it with one continual piece, or you can tie this in little chunks. I'm going to do one continual piece today. So tie it in on the near side of the hook. Draw that down. And what you're going to do here is you're going to take your material, and I know it's about at the edge of the screen here, and you're going to loop it like this. And you make your loop about the length of your flash here. Tie that in. That's a little short. Kind of pull it. You see right here, about the length. You can always trim this later, but it's a lot easier if you do it right the first time. Kind of run that back to your tying point, and then run back up here. And then what you do is you kind of just, or at least what I do, Just kind of fold it over on top and catch it with one thread wrap to get it pointed the right way. This is going to be our top loop. Run that back a little bit. Same thing. So try and make it same size as your last loop. Thread's going kind of crazy on me here. It's nice if you got a rotary vise. Kind of drop it down. Start working on our far side loop. Same thing. Catch it so it's facing the right way. And it's fine. You're going to end up with a little bump here. Don't worry about too much bulk. You're going to end up wrapping over that. Do your third loop here. Same thing. About the same size as your other loops. Two fairly tight, wraps. You want these to be locked in. And then we're going to run that back a little, and we're going to work on our bottom loop here. So depending on where this lands, you sometimes don't need to really catch it like the other ones, because we're kind of have it on the, it's not going to be directly on top like our top one, because we have the hook point, or the hook bend there. So I'm just going to catch it, kind of come around back. About the same length. Hopefully my fingers aren't blocking too much here. And go ahead and tie that in. I like doing it one piece. I think you spend less time cutting and more time tying. But so what we're going to do here is flip your fly back over. And I kind of just tidy it up, cinch everything down good. Then you're going to run your thread up. If you do have a rotary vise, throw a half hitch in there and throw your thread in the bobbin cradle. And then what I like to do to help make these flies durable is just throw a little bit of Z-vent before I wrap the Bodi-Braid all the way up. And this also helps lock in those tails. I put a little extra in the back. And just kind of begin wrapping your Bodi-Braid. It's alright if a little red shows through. Don't worry too much about that. Run it all the way up your fly here. Just catch it at the front. This stuff dries pretty quick, but I'm going to give it a couple seconds here to dry up. Alright, now the glue is nice and dry. Same thing up front. One thing to be careful, I notice when I start my loop on the near side and I go to whip finish, I end up with like an uneven collar. I get too much bulk on this side. So lately, I've just been kind of folding it on top. This one has been a little tricky, but you just kind of want to do it as even as you can to avoid a big bulky spot. Make sure your bead slid forward. You don't want it accidentally slid back a little bit, and then you go to finish and realize there's like a big gap there. So for these loops, you're going to go just to the bend. You don't want to go past, or else the fly will end up fouling. Tip Anthony gave me yesterday. So looks about right. You can kind of lay it down, and then same thing as usual. Just catch it. Tie it in. Oops. This one's giving me issues here. There we go. Alright. Just kind of work our way around the shank. Nothing you haven't seen yet here. Catch it. I try to keep these, you notice I had a longer sort of tie-in in the back. I try to keep these tighter up front. You'll end up wrapping over them when you finish. Just to make a nice collar. So nothing really more to say here, just keep working your way around. Move move on to the bottom. With the bottom here, what I like to do is I'll kind of pull these tails down and feed it around the back of the bend. You see that there? But just want to give yourself just a little bit of room here. You can see it's kind of, so I can get my scissors between the bend and the Bodi-Braid. Not a ton, but just a little bit so you can cut it. It's kind of too far on the side. And you'll see at the end of this fly, it's really cool when it comes together, because obviously these loops are not how it's supposed to be. I'm just doing the last loop here on the near side, just like the other three, just to that bend. These ones you kind of, the tail you can always trim, but these ones you kind of want to get right the first time. I think we might end up with a bulky collar here. Again, as hard as I tried to avoid it, but once you get your last one in, just kind of even up that collar. Go ahead and come in here and cut your Bodi-Braid off as close as you can. When I say even collar, you know, you don't want any white spots. This one might not be too bad. I think we're going to end up with a little bit of bulk. And then you kind of just fill in the crack between the bead and your thread here. You know, you kind of want your collar to kind of run up to the bead a little bit. And just kind of cover any of those frays poking through from when you trimmed your Bodi-Braid. You just come in and you can build the collar as big as you want. You know, doesn't matter too much. It's a little small, but just kind of come in with finish here. Yeah, go ahead and put your whatever you want, UV resin. I just, for all my trout stuff, I pretty much just use this Loon water-based head cement. Let that soak in. And then final step here in the fly, you're going to go ahead and cut your loops. Probably going to have to take the fly out of the vise to cut the bottom one off the front loop here. Just do that real quick. Try and keep it in frame for you. But you're just going to cut them dead center. Just got them cut. Throw your hook back in the vise. And if I can find my comb, you should come with your comb here. Just comb it out. You'll see the braid opens all up like this. Really cool fly. Pretty simple to tie. The flash on this one was kind of kinked up. You can see it poking through. Usually you want it dead straight. That's really it. It's the fly. Empie's Deadly Shiner. Great for, you know, trout, landlocked salmon. Tie them up in pearl, gold. You can do gold on top, pearl on bottom. But that's the fly. Thanks for watching.